and they toss it over to YouTube. And Joe, although he keeps on marking every single day, send me notifications for Dennis Michael Lynch, send me notifications for Dennis Michael Lynch. Every single day, they keep on asking him on Facebook if he wants the notifications for Dennis Michael Lynch. There's no doubt. I mean, even today on our Facebook page, when, we just send it to the articles, it's a little bit of a slow news day, but ultimately, we see the traffic has fallen into the abyss. So we don't know. We're trying to come up with solutions for this. I know you folks will send me something like, oh, don't worry about the numbers, I watch it later tonight. It's not what it is. It's not what it is at all. It's Facebook's just not putting out the notifications. Now, I was buzzing around last night looking at different people's pages, and it seems like there's a lot of folks who are all sort of complaining about the same thing. So I don't know, maybe Facebook's trying to figure out their strategy for Facebook Live because more people are using it. I have no idea. Is it the whole fake news thing, DML? Is it the conservative stuff? They could be a part to that. But I don't know. And I hate talking about things that I don't know. And I even hate giving my effort to this conversation. And this wire is bugging me. But anyway, so a couple of things. Well, I'll let the audience build here a little, assuming it does. But what do we got? First of all, I want to let you know, look at my cheat sheet. I'm like a quarterback, man. Got everything right there. All right, we did the cadence the other day. Trump 32. ISIS 15. Hit. Hut. Yep, so we got that today. So I won't forget anything. Although, I probably will forget something because I couldn't get all my information on this little thing. The cheat sheet, I don't know, the cheat sheet's a part of the show. I might have to go with the arm blaster from Theo, and I also got another one yesterday too from somebody else. So I may have to do both. I may have to walk around with both, plus the cheat sheet, because there's something about the cheat sheet that just gets me excited. But we'll have that. Hear the sirens? President Obama must be in town, stealing somebody's money. Anyhow, a couple of things I want to give you while we're building up the audience here. A little update on media platform. A couple people said to me, hey, DML, you haven't talked about it recently. Well, because there's so much other stuff to talk about, and I will get into some of it right now. Okay, first and foremost, we officially picked a vendor to build our app. And I don't know, they're probably listening right now. I'm rolling the dice on these guys. I had 5 different selections. One of the selections was a company that I've been doing business with for 6 years, who's sort of gotten into the app business of late. Very reliable, very big, never has let me down once, and they wanted the business, and I know I could have been pretty safe with them, but they would have been a little bit longer and a little bit more money. And then I had these 2 guys who reached out to me, listeners of the show, and said, hey man, we've been building apps for a while, we're really small, one guy works out of his house, the other guy works out of another place. He says, can you give us a shot? I don't know. So I went back and forth with the 5. I eliminated it down to 3, and then I eliminated it down to 2, and I'm like, who do I want to pick here? And I figured, come on, software update. Hold on a second. All right. So I ultimately went with the 2 guys working out of their house. It cost a little less money, not much though. But I don't know. I always like giving people a shot. So giving these 2 guys a shot to break out. If nobody gave me a shot when I had my businesses, I would have gotten nowhere. So let's see. If they fail, which I don't think they will, I'll just go to the other guy. But we expanded the app. So the first iteration of the app, and I'm still letting the numbers build up here a little bit. So first iteration of the app will have 4 pages on it. One will be constant alerts. Well, I shouldn't say that. Constant articles. So, a lot of times you folks send us articles. Hey, DML, check this out. We've already ran the article 2 days earlier, so it's, and with the Facebook stuff, obviously you're just not getting it in your feed. So because at this point right now, I've hired 10 of you. We have so far 10 people now on our staff writing, right? We had started off when I was just doing this, there was only 3 of us. So now there's 10 of us, and I got everybody, people who come from the show. I told you I'd hire from within, giving the app business to the people from within, keeping to my word. That's what I do. So anyhow, you're not seeing the articles because you're not getting them on Facebook. So just like your texts, let's say for instance, all of a sudden you got 15 texts right now from family members, whatever, you'd have a little 15 on your text icon. Well, now what's going to happen is that every time we publish an article, it's going to go right to your app icon. And the highest it will ever go is to 30. So you get 30, you'll click on it, and it will look just like we're designing it. Very simple, no flashy stuff. It will look like your text messages, and it will be the headlines. And any headline that interests you, you just turn around, click it, you go to the site, you get it, boom, you're done. You will always be in the know. That's the great part of it, okay? So, and we're pumping out at least 50 articles a day. And I think we'll probably get up to about 100 or so. You will have everything, world events, you name it. So I'm still trying to let this audience build, and I don't think it's gonna. We're at 2.6. I told you it'd be the smallest day ever. Facebook is doing its thing. So the second page is going to be, I told you we're going to start making micro shows. My next little show is going to be the DML report every single night, giving you a snapshot of what took place during the day with some tail off with some hard-hitting commentary. So a little bit of this happened, and bang, and I give you some DML straight up. No sound effects. It will be, very, okay. So we got that. So you'll get updates on those in a separate window on your app all the time. You can watch them. As a new one comes up, it replaces the old one. Really cool. Then, of course, any breaking news and major alerts. If you're not using the 40404 system, which I'll talk to you about later on, I repeat that, you'll get it right to your app. All right. And then the fourth button, boy, what is the fourth button? Okay, just, basic store stuff. You want to get a DVD, you want to get a hat or something like that, we're filling it up. You got to have these buttons or else Apple doesn't approve it or something to that extent. So they're like, well, we need another button. I was like, all right, put in DVDs, and that's what it is. So eventually we'll make the app so this way you can watch all the shows when we have shows right there on your phone. Anyway, that's that. Okay, our crowd is obviously going to stay at 2.6. It's a little depressing knowing that just 3 weeks ago we were at 9, 10, 11,000. But what are you going to do? Right, Joe? Joe from Right Side and I talked about this yesterday. Okay, let's go. I've given enough time. We've got the cheat sheet. All right, first thing I'm going to talk to you about is there is a Gallup poll that is out showing that Trump's transition numbers are at a low. They are much lower than what Obama's were when he took office and much lower than Bush's. Obama's was 45% and George Bush was 65%. Whereas with Trump, he's only at 48% approval. Okay, DML, why are you telling us this? I'll tell you why I'm telling you this, because I think it's very significant. In fact, it's a small little window into a much bigger problem, a big landscape. And I think it's very important for you to understand this, because when I read what you send me, it's like, that the media has got its broken parts, but it's like you're still trapped in. So I'm trying to give this to you so this way you could really understand one more time on how this works. The Gallup poll, right? Gallup is one of the most famous polls. What is a scientific poll, DML? Well, let me tell you what a scientific poll is. There's a much different site, like we always have polls on our website. Maybe you've taken some of them before, and we'll ask a question like, do you think the Russians really hacked the election? And we'll ask you that, and you'll go in, and we allow you to vote once. We don't allow you to vote multiple times. Our system kind of locks in the fact that you were there, you voted. If you've gotten past it, I don't know how. I've never been able to get past it, but you only get one vote. So we'll turn around and we'll see that 32% of you think yes, they influenced the election, and 78% of you, or 68% of you did not. That is not a scientific poll. That is a poll which really more of a survey, if you will. Then you get during the election, you may remember, those of you who know the Drudge Report, it's a very popular website. You see Drudge Report, you see Newsmax. They got all these polls. First of all, they allow you to vote multiple times. Okay, those are not real polls. So when Trump used to say, I won the Drudge poll. Yeah, okay, cool. But at the same time some guy sat there in his thing and voted 100 times. All right. A scientific poll actually takes a formula. Fox runs scientific polls, CNN runs scientific polls. These polls are based on the fact that you take a list and you ask questions, and the questions always have to be asked in different orders, etc., so forth. There's a theory, there's a process to it. So of all the pollsters, Gallup is pretty much the most popular one. At the same time, we have to understand that the Gallup poll had put, just before the election, Trump at 35% approval and Hillary Clinton at 40% approval. Now, how off is that? Well, yeah, he won the election. He won the election because of the electors, but he did not win the popular vote. So although the 35-40 may be like, come on, DML, he won. All right, well, it was still 35-40. So it was off, but it wasn't off by that much. So if you ask me about this 48-48 thing, where 48% of people right now in the Gallup poll approve, 48% of people don't approve, and then of course you've got the, people who were undecided. Of course, this all comes with a slight little margin of error of 4%. But nonetheless, what it does show is it shows that the nation remains, after this election, very divided. Now, if you take, this is a transition poll. How do you like the transition? That's what the poll question is. Now, if you take Obama, who is at 75%, and Bush at 65%, remember, in both of those elections, the other party lost, right? So in Obama's case, we lost that election. Anybody who's voting for McCain and didn't want Obama, just basically because he is who he is, we still said, okay, look, we're going to support our president. And that's why you see the 75%. Same thing that goes back to Bush. Think about Bush. Bush won an election which many people to this day still don't believe, right? With the whole hanging Chad thing. So, and obviously Bush had a 65% approval rating, says that people got past it. The reason why people aren't getting past it this time is strictly 100% because of the press. 100%. And I'm going to give you a story right now that will support what I'm talking about. Okay? The Washington Post is one of the biggest newspapers in the country. All right? It once was hailed, like the New York Times was, as one of the go-to papers, especially because it was in Washington, D.C., there for politics. It is a gross example of how it is that the media has completely, 100% lost its way. They put out an article, I don't know if it was last night or this morning, I read it today. They put out an article stating why it is that Rudy Giuliani did not get the Secretary of State position. Now, I told you this last time we talked, that Rudy Giuliani, I think one of two things happened. Either A, he was extremely turned off by the fact that Trump did not give him the job immediately like he did Jeff Sessions, or number two was that there was some sort of thing with Rudy's business where we just thought, you know what, okay, it passes the vetting, but still it may leave people with a sense of uncomfortability. I don't know which one it was, but the Washington Post today is reporting that the reason why Rudy Giuliani did not get the Secretary of State job is because Donald Trump was concerned that he didn't have the stamina to take on the role. Yeah, stamina, because he's 72 years old, Rudy Giuliani. Now, they give no sources, they give no names. They just say somebody who wants to remain anonymous. That's the sort of crap that you could get on Billy Joe's Politics 91011672.com. I make up these names, right? Okay. So they do that, and they tell the entire story about how Donald Trump did not pick Rudy Giuliani for that reason, and because Rudy Giuliani has a big ego, which I've already said to you before, although it's somewhat different than Donald Trump's ego, but that he has a big ego, and Trump was starting to see that Rudy Giuliani was getting too much attention. So too many people were cheerleading for Rudy Giuliani, and that he was getting too much media attention, and Trump doesn't like that. That Trump needs to be the number one person in the spotlight. Now, although I think there is definitely truth to that, that Donald does like having the cameras pointed to himself, I just cannot see that being the truth. The reason why I'm sharing this with you is because a story like that gets picked up by the New York Post. Now the New York Post goes out and they put out their story, and what they say is that according to a report, Rudy Giuliani did not get the Secretary of State position because Donald J. Trump was concerned about his stamina. This is how this story will pick up wind. And by and large, the people who are in this country, believe it or not, don't go to DennisMichaelLynch.com. Not yet anyway. They don't go to Breitbart.com. They don't go to some of these places. This is what they read. These are the places that have the readership, both online and offline. Even in the world of offline, although it's starting to decline, it still has a presence. This is what they're hearing. This is what they're hearing on CNN. And I've told you a million times before, and I'll say it 1,000,001 because it cannot get lost in translation. Although CNN, by far, has lower ratings than Fox News, CNN crushes Fox News on the web. So when you get a CNN clip that says something ridiculous, like what I'm talking about with this Rudy Giuliani, it may not be seen on television, but it gets put on the web and it's seen twice as many times as anything you'd see on Fox or on Breitbart or on DennisMichaelLynch.com. Anything. Do you understand? That's the danger in all this. So when you're sitting there and you're saying, why is it still 48%? He's already starting to save some jobs. He's doing this, he's doing that. He's bringing in outsiders. We wanted outsiders. Why is it still 48 for 48? And that is because the mainstream media is not giving him even an inch. They hate this man. They hate him with such unbelievable vile. And one of the reasons why they hate him is because he has called them out time and time again, and he continues to do it with his Twitter. So there's a choice being made here. The choice is by Donald Trump. Does he try to bring these media people in and be somewhat friendly with them, or does he continue to challenge them and call them out on his Twitter? I don't have the answer for that, because there's a part of me that says it is a gross mistake for him to continue to tweet about the media. And then there's the other side of me that says if he doesn't tweet about the media, these sort of stories just keep on floating around and people will believe it. Because there's a very important saying that a very smart man once told me. Unfortunately, perception is often mistaken for reality. Remember that. Perception is often mistaken for reality. So people read this stuff and automatically it becomes true. Now, what I'm amazed by is how that you've got somebody like the Washington Post putting out stories like that without any real name references whatsoever, all anonymous reports, and they're not bagged for fake news. They're not cut off for fake news. Facebook isn't putting any strikes against them. If Washington Post goes live right now, are they going to see their numbers cut in half drastically for absolutely no reason whatsoever? Right? Yeah, probably not. That being said, that's why I told you that. Another thing, let's just dive in a little bit more politics here. There is a professor in Harvard. You're going to hear about this. And some of the people who like to scare the living hell out of you will probably pound on this. I could just hear it already. I'll see the emails. DML, what do you think about this report? What do you think about this report? What do you think about this report? There is a professor at Harvard. We put it up on our website today. And, we wrote it in the sense that, hey, don't worry about it. Other people won't be so kind to you. But there is a professor at Harvard. He's a Democrat. He actually had thrown his name into the ring to be a presidential candidate. He is offering pro bono services. He's a law professor to any Republican elector who does not want to vote for Donald Trump. And he believes right now, or at least he's claiming, that he has 20 Republicans who are basically seeking to change their vote, that they won't have to vote for Trump. Now, that being said, is it something for you to worry about? No, I told you. You need more than 42. You need 42 to change. The only person who has locked in said, I'm not voting for him, is the guy out of Texas. you could bet your bottom dollar he'll never have that role again. But that said, we also posted another story last night about out of Colorado, how there was a judge who had, you know, 2 electors who basically said they were going to swap. He's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Okay, so those are things that are out there circulating that obviously people are going to take advantage of and try to make you click, 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 click. And I'm telling you right now, there's nothing at all to worry about it with. Another little thing I want to give you, quick little news pieces today, is that Jill Stein, we just posted this story as well. Jill Stein spent $1 million. I mean, how long has she had that money for? She spent $1 million in this much time on staff and lawyers. $1 million in this much time to come away with bupkis. Nothing, not at all. $1 million. Tell me this isn't the biggest scam of all time, huh? So just want to tell you that, because remember, DML told you you had nothing to worry about with the recount, and he's telling you have nothing to worry about with the electors, and that's coming up very shortly. Another thing too, just before I transition into the next stuff, is keep in mind that tomorrow I'll be doing Walk and Talk live from New York City. And I'm going into New York City because also in building the new media platform, I have meetings all lined up with different people. Here's the bells, they're coming. Okay, now moving on. DML, you're a little boring today. Sorry, man. Sorry, not every day could just be me dancing in leaves. And it's cold again. And Miss Mary's like, I can't come with you today. So why can't you come with me today? She says, parent-teacher conferences today. Half days here. Boy, I tell you, I miss being a kid. Half day of work, half day of school. Whew, when are they going to have a parent-teacher conference for work? All right, so anyway, next one. Look at the cheat sheet, man. Cheat sheet comes in good. Comes in real good. I mean, this thing is fantastic. Wish I had this when I was a quarterback. Yeah, would have done much better.
Yeah, we did some mods to the Urban Carrier G2 here. So at this way, if you have a 12 gauge, it's a lot.
I haven't really talked to you much about ISIS. And it's funny because ISIS used to be the #1 thing in the news. Even on our website, on Facebook, if we put up a new video of ISIS, it'd be like, click, 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 click. Now it's sort of like, oh, it's ISIS. That scares the hell out of me. That's why I decided to talk about it today. What's happening, I think, with ISIS, to a certain degree here in the country, is that we're just starting to take it as a norm. Oh yeah, ISIS. Okay, you know, it's just the norm. We deal with it. That is not a good thing. That is a bad thing. Very, very bad thing. Because you know what? They're not a JV team. They're a killing machine. They're an absolute evil killing machine. And although you'll hear numbers about how it is that they've lost some of their foot soldiers over there in the Middle East, the fact of the matter is they're spreading. They're spreading into numerous countries all over the world. They're spreading small. They're spreading smaller. But it's like taking it's like taking a thermometer, dropping it on the ground, and it spreads all over the place. So I wanted to get a little into you with ISIS on some of the stuff that they're doing, because it is being ignored so much. And also, this was another topic I had studied very heavily when I was exploring, and I was coming up with what I thought was really strong solutions. Trump repeated some of these things, didn't take them from me, but you know, he repeated some of these things, and that's why I continued to like him more and more as he was doing his campaigning. But there are certain things about ISIS that nobody ever talks about, which yours truly is going to talk about today, and it'll be a very interesting perspective. You'll be like, wow, I never heard about that from before. And stuttering on my words here a little bit because my lips are a little cold. And so anyhow, This guy's looking at me holding my phone. Yeah, I know, it's a little weird. Sorry, man. Got a cord out of my pants. You know, hold on. Can you see the cord? Looks a little strange. Walking, talking into my phone. Yeah. There's going to be a day when everybody does this. It's like we're almost there, but you know, sooner or later, people won't look at me. They'll be just like, oh, okay, it's normal. So anyway, I'm going to tell you this stuff about this ISIS and about how it is that we have to really kill this thing, because it takes more than just guns and bombs. All right. Now, ISIS, we put out another report today. There's a big report coming out from overseas that ISIS is now creating weapons in an industrialized sort of way. What does that mean, DML? It means that they've got, like, you know, mass capacity to be, you know, putting this stuff out as if they've got like warehouses and assembly lines putting together all these weapons. Now, one of the very dangerous parts about how it is that this is taking place is that they're being supplied, they're being helped by Turkey. Turkey, not turkey like that you ate on Christmas or you ate on Thanksgiving, but like Turkey, like the country. Now, the problem there is that Turkey, slowly but surely, is going more towards the extreme Islamic rule. You may recall, it was a couple of back in the summer, in July, there was a coup, and they tried to take over the guy there. And one of the reasons being is that they're so concerned the fact that it's starting to go more Islamic rule in that country. Now, of course, as you would imagine, our relations with Turkey have become steadily worse under the Obama administration. Yes, we were allies for a while. It's always been a little bit of a tough relationship, but we were allies for a while. They're a member of NATO. And what wound up taking place was that they didn't like how things were materializing in Iraq. And obviously, the ISIS, many of us believe, is basically the creation of Barack Obama. Because Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton said, oh, mission complete here in Iraq. Let's go home. And everybody's like, wait a second, where are you going? Don't go anywhere. What are you talking about? This still something? Ah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. JV team. It's like, come on. Got to beat these guys. Got a couple of bullets. All over. That didn't happen that way. And so now there's been resistance to that. Now what's happening is Turkey, slowly but surely, is helping ISIS, believe it or not, and starting to become friendly with Russia. So it is a huge, huge problem because Turkey, believe it or not, is a pretty strong country. Yeah. So here we go with ISIS. And although they are definitely being dismantled in some ways, you know, they're losing a lot of soldiers, they're also gaining them, but they're gaining them in a different way. They're gaining them in the way that you're starting to see in the United States. We've got these lone wolves and you got little cells. And, you know, because we seem to focus so much on our own local news and what's happening here nationally, and because the whole Trump-Clinton campaign just took over all the headlines, we have really dropped the ball in discussing and talking about how it is that these little cells are creating. Now, if you've watched my DVDs, you watched They Come to America 3, you saw how it is that I outlined for you how dangerous things are actually in Canada, and how it is that Canada is basically the easiest place to just take out anything you want. You want some smart bomb makings? Sure, just put some fake documents together, and before you know it, you're in the United States. I showed you how it happened. If you haven't watched it yet, you should watch it because it will definitely help you with our walk-in talks going forward. Keep in mind something, I'm going to go on a little tangent here for a second about the walk-in talks. You know, the one thing about the Trump-Clinton presidency fight for was that there was always something to talk about. Always something to talk about with the two of them because they're just such characters. But now it's sort of like things are going to go back into the way it used to be, where you're going to have different topics. So one of the things that I think is really good for you, if you haven't watched the DVDs yet, is you have to, because we're going to start talking about other topics. You know, the Trump-Clinton stuff is going to be less and less and less of what we talk about. And so one of the things that would be great for you, I think, and what's a little different about what I do with this show and what we'll be doing with other things is, yeah, I like to entertain you and I like to talk about this stuff and give opinions, but the number one thing I like hearing from you when you come back to me, and I get this all the time, DML, I have learned so much stuff from you because you water it down and now I get it. Yeah, you know what I mean? So That's one of the things, I love that. If I know that I helped educate somebody in something, so we're going to talk a lot about these topics. So it could get a little heady. Once in a while it gets a little boring, although I try to entertain it up a little bit, although I won't be jumping in leaves today because I'll believe it or not, they're almost all gone. But the snow will be here soon. I'll be jumping in that. Everything will be fine. You'll be laughing again. Anyway, getting back to ISIS. So you'll start to see that these cells are popping up all over the place. And Europe right now obviously has itself an unbelievable problem. And as we keep on taking in more refugees from the Middle East and from Syria, I mean, the numbers that we have coming in here right now for this was scheduled to have over 100,000 refugees come over this year. You will see more radicalization. And because there's more pressure on the FBI and all of our intelligence agencies to basically find these people, wouldn't be a day without a leaf blower. There he is. Yep. How do you say leaf blower in Spanish? That guy, I know him. I see him all the time. He's always here doing something for Richie Rich. Good for you, Richie Rich. Wish I had somebody every single day catering to every single bush and leaf I had. But then again, I like doing my own work. Oh, wait. 2 more leaf blowers. Wouldn't be complete without 1 yard with 3 leaf blowers. There we go. We're walking by just at the right time. So let's get into ISIS and how it is that you crush that, because take what I just said to you, how it's metastasized in these little cells and it's breaking up in certain areas, even though they're creating all these weapons in an industrialized sort of way. As it spreads to having little tiny cells, how do you kill that? How do you kill that? See, now I had a plan for this. How do you kill that? Because everybody talks about, well, one of the ways that you kill ISIS is to cut off the oil. Absolutely. You cut off the funding to anything and it has a hard time surviving. But then, of course, they just start stealing things and they could start funding themselves that way. But they won't be able to steal massively on the sort of level they can when they're stealing oil. But nonetheless, so how do you stop it? Because, just using guns and explosives is just not enough. Here's how you do it. ISIS has become a brand. It's a brand. It's an absolute brand. You have to kill the brand. How do you do that, DML? Well, think about it. It has become fashionable for people who hate America to kill innocent people, right? Okay. That has happened through propaganda, ISIS propaganda, through all the fancy videos. Look what they did. You used to look at war videos. They'd be all over the place. Be some guy, we're right here on the battlefield. You really didn't see anything, right? And then other times it would just be nighttime stuff. You're looking down, you're seeing explosions from what looked like, some satellite feed. ISIS took it to a different level. ISIS says, you know what? People love movies. Let's make our killings into movies. And so that's what they've done, and that's what they continue to do. You just don't see them anymore. The media will not play them. In fact, we used to play them all the time, and people would say to me, DML, why are you helping spread? I said, I'm not helping spread nothing. That's if you want to take as I'm help spreading. If you ignore this and you don't play with these videos alike for people to see, they don't understand why this is growing like this. So it's one of those, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You're damned if you do play it because you're helping spread the propaganda theoretically, but I'm thinking that I don't have many people who are on the verge of radicalization to ISIS. So now I put it out and I say, look, they're not showing this to you on the news. This is what they're doing to people. Do you understand? This isn't the JV team. So we made the decision that we wanted to show that stuff because we felt as if it was an important thing for you to see, people to see how really gruesome this is and how it is that they are spreading a very sexy message. They're making killing sexy. They're taking killings as one would only see maybe on a video game, and they're showing how to make that video game live, how to make it real. And they're seducing people with this. Now, I get really deep into this one. You ready? You take the fact that over in Europe the unemployment rate in Europe is skyrocketed for young people, skyrocketed. In some places, well over 50%. And so you get these youngsters who have nothing in their life. They have nothing to aspire to. They have nothing to get up for every single day. And so they want something. And what they start to do is they lash out at society as well, because they look and say, you know, society has left me behind. I have no opportunity. I have no money. I'm barely hanging on. And so now what they do is they start to become angry at the world. And ISIS is selling that the world is bad, and that's why you're angry, and this is the way you could strike back and take it back over. And so people that would never have thought of being lured into that sort of stuff get lured in, they get captured in. That's why one of the biggest risks we have in this country is that if we would have wound up electing Hillary Clinton, or God forbid Donald Trump turns out to be a bust, which I just don't foresee happening, you'll have more youth lost, especially this youth we're taking in from overseas left and right? And let's even just say that some of the refugees that we're taking in are just downright good people. Well, they come over here, they really don't fit in, they can't find a job, it's all misery, and what do, they just get angry, and then ISIS gives them this feeling of become part of our family. We were left behind like you. These people aren't following the rule of Allah, and that's why it is that you've become like this. You know, that's why they've left you behind. They're infidels. Come in. And then what they do is they suck them in. They suck them in, and on top of that, they make it cool to kill. Okay. Hope you're getting this. Very heady stuff. Maybe if more people were thinking heady-wise, we wouldn't be in this mess. So how do you kill the brand? You have to kill the brand by showing that it's not cool to kill people. Well, what do you mean? Okay. Now, this may be on your end. You may be saying, oh, DML, I don't agree with this. Maybe others will say to you, you know what? It's about time we do. I am a big believer that you have to fight fire with fire. You have to. If you try to tiptoe around things and don't take it head on, it only becomes a bigger problem. So it's like, you know, you got a fire and you just try to take the hose and you just try going around it like this, like, oh, I don't want to get burned, but at the same time is I don't want to confront the fire. It never goes out. But if you fight fire, you take it straight on, that's how you push it back. It's like anything else. I think that what we should be doing is the same thing they're doing. We have to show what it's like when you're an ISIS fighter and the United States of America confronts you. I think we need to let some of these people who haven't been radicalized yet, the people who are maybe on the fringe, that we haven't found because we don't know exactly who they are. You know, they're watching videos or they're going online and we think we're tracking them down, but we just don't have the resources to get them fast enough. If they were to see the other side of the coin, which is sure, that's what it looks like when you behead somebody. But this is what it looks like when we find you. We don't do that. So what we do is we don't kill the brand. We don't kill the brand. DML, how do you kill a brand? Okay, I'll give you an example. A horrible example, but it's the only one that's coming to my mind right now. Mike Tyson, right? Mike Tyson used to be known as a ferocious fighter. Everybody, I mean, women, guys, there was just something about watching Mike Tyson fight that was so different than anything you've ever seen before. ISIS, right? Same thing. Mike Tyson would go in, 2 seconds later, guy was out. You know, he'd get into the ring. People would just be like this. They would just like, okay, I'm completely fighting right now for the money, and I hope I don't die. And he would just go in and he'd go, over. I mean, it was like back in those days, you had to pay pay-per-view in order to see Tyson fight, but you paid whatever it was because you'd never seen anybody assault somebody in the ring in that way. Mike Tyson had this brand about him. He was a killing machine. All it took was one interview where his wife, who I still think is but where all of a sudden now his wife said, this is what he really is behind closed doors. And you sat there and you said, all right, she looks like she's staging this whole thing. Whatever her name is, Givens. But then he got hit with the rape, remember? And we showed the fact that the girl, you know, had come out about being raped. And we showed him being in handcuffs. And we showed what happens when a guy like that, a superstar, actually commits a heinous, ugly, disgusting, violent crime on a woman. And all of a sudden, he went from being a hero to an absolute zero. Ask anybody what they think of Mike Tyson. You know, he's a mess. He's a mess. Hero to zero. And now, if you sit there and you champion for Mike Tyson, what are you? Your brand is now that you are somebody who would support somebody who rapes women. Now, I come back and I said it's a poor example. I can't come up with another one right off the top of my head. If you show that ISIS, if you show these people what it's like for a member of ISIS to lose their leg, to lose their life, and I mean show it, and you have it out there, this brand thing goes down. It goes down because the people who have not been radicalized yet will walk away. And that's how you kill ISIS, because you have to kill the ability for recruitment. Now, I was telling you before how we used to play those videos all the time. Well, YouTube discontinued it. If you put something up with ISIS, they'll take down the video. So they've taken away pretty much my ability to get those videos out. They've taken them away. Now, there's a good thing about that, right? Because they've also taken away the ability for ISIS to be able to show those videos. So, although I'm getting hurt by it, so is ISIS. If we kill the brand, and look at that, look at what I just said. We didn't fire a single gun. We didn't fire a single rocket. What did we do? We cut off their ability to show their propaganda out to the world. We killed the brand. We have to come away and say that it's not cool to kill innocent people. And that is how you stop these people from becoming radicalized. Very, very important. I guarantee you, there's few things that I would say, I guarantee 100%, I guarantee 100%, if this strategy that I just put through, although, yeah, it sounds pretty wild that we would put out any kind of propaganda video of that kind, and I know it's a little radical in some ways. People say, well, that's not what America does. Okay, well then, maybe that's what we should do, because I will tell you right now, these people continue to grow. And Donald Trump, although I have all the confidence in the world with him, and he's got a lot of generals, right now, I think, based on what I hear all the time, is always about, well, we need more boots on the ground, or we need more missiles, or we need more drones. What I'm talking about right now does not get solved with drones. There's a kid right now in Minnesota. There's a kid right now in Toronto. There's a kid right now somewhere maybe in Ohio who's sitting there thinking about how it is he's going to plot his next thing. And we've become lucky in the fact that the only times that we've had these sort of things happen in U.S. soil, I mean, if you want to call it lucky that 50 people die in one place and that 10 people die in another place and almost 30 people get stabbed in another place, I'm saying that's lucky when you take compared to what a September 11th is. Remember, September 11th was 19 people. They could have executed September 11th with a lot less than 19 people, okay? Remember that. Okay, so, DML, you scared the hell out of me, which you usually don't do. No, I shouldn't have scared the hell out of you. I'm trying to educate you. So this way, when you're sitting around at Christmas dinner and you guys are talking about different stuff, you say, well, I think that one of the things that Trump has to do with his administration is they have to kill the ISIS brand. Everybody will be like, wow, Janie, where'd you get that from? Don't give me credit. Take credit for yourself. Just have been starting up on this stuff. We got to kill the brand. All right, how do we do that? You watch this video before you go to Christmas and you're like, okay, now I got it. Yeah, that's how it happens. See, let me tell you the importance of that. The importance of that is, think about your Christmas dinners and your Thanksgiving dinners and when you see your family and you see your friends. Your topics usually stay up here. Trump's a racist. Well, Hillary's a criminal. Trump abuses women. Well, you know, Bill Clinton abuses women. It stays as this headline fight. Okay? It's almost like a spitting contest. Nobody ever really throws a good punch. What I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to give you the punch. I'm trying to give you the punch which hits and doesn't allow the other person to hit back. And what that does is it sends a warning that, wow, I better wake up. I better listen, right? I better listen. What did she just hit me with? Oh, I never knew it that way. Yeah, that's why with my films, you guys have watched the films, think about it. You've always been hearing about illegal immigration for how long? Real long time, right? But you've never seen it or watched it explained in the way that those 3 movies show you. You know how many Democrats, you know how many liberals, you know how many people who think that they know everything there is to know and, oh, these poor people, I just want them to stay. Really? What about the scene in They Come to America 1, where the INS agent and I are standing at the Statue of Liberty, and he explains to me that all throughout his career, they have arrested people and they've gone after people who are doing day labor during the day and at night a gangbanging. Tell that to your sister Joni after she lets the nice little boy come in and cut her lawn. Yeah. I used to say a thing all the time back on my Fox days when I used to be on all the time. I had, sometimes you just come up with these sayings like, you can't find your buttocks with both hands. I used to say, some of them are coming here to cut your lawn, but others are coming here to cut your throat. Oh, he's a racist. No, it's the greatest term ever. It really is. And the fact of the matter is that you have no idea how to differentiate between the two. You want to take the chance on that? Now, you show that movie to somebody because they've never heard it like that before. And there you go. Before you know it, you become a very educated, intelligent, passionate, all those things in one thing without having to go down the route of, Trump's not a racist. Just show him the video. That's it. Okay, DML, give us some juice, man. All right, for those of you who just like the sort of dry stuff, the part of the show is over. It's time for you to click out. Now comes the part, as I have one little road here left, of where I start to go a little unhinged. I might sing a song, might do a little something. Although I will tell you, the wow thing today has a little political tone to it. We posted a story from Arkansas, of all places. Right, it is Arkansas? Cheat sheet. I didn't write that down. I think it's Arkansas. This guy, oh, did I forget something? No. This guy, he is on the school board, right? He was elected to the school board. So he goes to a Halloween party and he dresses up as Black Lives Matter, paints his face black, and has a sign around his neck that says Black Lives Matter. Okay, so of course, everybody's at this party taking these photos, and they post this stuff up. And now the NAACP, I know last week I said NCAAP, I was so cold, sorry. The basketball is NC. NAACP now is calling for this man to get fired. They want him gone because he painted his face black to be Black Lives Matter. Why? Why does this man have to be removed from the Board of Education because he painted his face black and did Black Lives Matter? Why? Why? Should he have painted his face yellow? Should he have painted his face pink? No. Black Lives Matter is a movement by black people. Yeah. Who basically think that cops are out to kill them because they're black. Now, if somebody wore a Donald Trump mask to a Halloween party, would they be fired? If a black, I should say removed, if a black person wore a Donald Trump mask, would we be calling for his or her job? No, we wouldn't be. And if that person put on a wig and did a funny impersonation of Donald Trump, would we be calling for him to be fired? No. In all the Saturday Night Live gigs that you've seen, where they just destroy Trump, have you ever called up Saturday Night Live and say, I demand you fire those people? No. You looked at it, you said it's ridiculous, it's silly, and you moved on. That's what it was. And maybe even laughed. I'll be the first one to say, I can't stand Alec Baldwin. DML, where's that video you promised us that you were going to prove Alec Baldwin? I'll get to it one of these days, okay? I'm barely sleeping. No, you haven't, because you're rational. So the fact that this guy goes... Now, what if this guy were to have dressed up like Mike Tyson, and he put a black face on, and then he turned around and he put the scar on, and he went with boxing gloves? Are we going to call for him to be fired? No way. No way. What about if this guy dressed up as Michael Jackson, and he wore white glove and a red leather jacket, and he had white shoes on, and he painted his face black, and he did the black hair that he had, whatever that was. I don't know, it wasn't dreadlocks, but whatever it was, spaghetti look. Would we call for him to be fired? No. It's because they don't like anybody calling out Black Lives Matter. That's why it is what it is. When a country loses its sense of humor, when a country loses its ability to just wear a costume without having to put people into a safe space, it has completely lost its way. Now, one of the reasons why I tell you this story is because they're all calling for this guy to step down. And this guy said, wait a second, you want me to step down because I did what? Blackface? I didn't even know what blackface, what does blackface mean? I just went Black Lives Matter. Black people doing it. I put my face as black. Do you want me to step down? You know what he said to him? I ain't stepping anywhere. I'm not stepping anywhere. Do you know how many people step down and they do all these big, huge apologies and they do all this political correct crap? When you do that, what do? You feed the fire. You tell them it's okay to do that sort of thing, and that's why they keep on pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding. I don't want to hear any apology out of this guy. You know what I want to hear him say? It's a costume, and I painted myself black because it says Black Lives Matter. And you know what? If tomorrow you want to dress up as Frosty the Snowman and paint yourself white, Mr. Black Guy, I'm not going to get upset. If you want to paint yourself as Donald Trump and put on a yellow wig, I'm not going to get upset. And I'm not going to ask for you to leave your job and call for your job. This is a person people elected. Obviously, they want him in that position. And now he's going to have to leave? He's going to have to leave because he wore a costume at Halloween? I was in New York City. Last year, March, maybe February, big, huge Donald Trump, anti-Donald Trump rally. Huge, filled with blacks, Muslims, whites, you name it. Huge. People wearing bandanas that wouldn't show their face, chickens, right? Cops, droves and droves and droves of cops all over the place. My buddy, who was a cop at the time, said to me, you wouldn't believe the sort of resources we're putting into this thing because they're afraid these people are going to tear the freaking city down. Over what? Over what? So I go with my camera and I'm there mixing in, and believe it or not, and as I had the Newsmax show at that time. I went. A couple of people picked me out in the crowd. One guy thought I was part of Breitbart. So it was getting a little. I was looking over my shoulder. I had nobody else with me. Doesn't matter. Kung fu fighting, right? So, anyhow, there's a black guy, and he's got a sign draped over. You can find this on my website. You'd have to find it though. Maybe black guy Donald Trump. Search for that. It'll come up. There's a black guy. He's got a big sign draped over his front and draped over his back at Donald Trump. Black Lives Matter. Donald Trump's a racist. So I go up to him and I say, hey, how you doing? I said, why do you think Donald Trump's a racist? He says, because he tells people lies. He tells people lies. He says stuff about us that isn't true, and he's a racist. So I said, all right, well, let's divide this into two things. Donald Trump is a liar? Yeah. So, and again, my camera's rolling on this whole thing, right? So I said, what did he lie about? Do, 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 do. I'm sorry, what did you say? What did he lie about? He said all black people love him. I said, that's what your answer's going to be, that? All black people love him? I said, so that's a lie. He says, yeah, because I don't love him. I said, okay, but that's really not a lie. He sort of made a reference, I don't, if that's a lie. I said, I think there's bigger lies, but I definitely wasn't going to try to challenge this guy with, all Hillary's lies. So I just went to him very, very gently. I said, okay, I tell you what, forget the liar thing, because that's, you say potato, I say potato. I get it. But what did he say that was racist? Do, 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 do. He said that all black people love him. I said, come on, man. Come on. What did he say that was racist? Oh, boy. I don't know what he said. I said, really? So he says, yeah, I know. But I'm sure he said something. And I said, wait a second. Wait. Step back, bro. I said, You are saying, and you have a sign that this man is a racist, and I'm asking you what has driven that. And he says, he says, well, black people love him. So I go back to him and say, could it possibly be that Donald J. Trump has never said anything racist? And he said, no. And I said, why? He says, because I'm just sure he said something. And that right there, as far as I'm concerned, is the blanket for all of this anti-Trump. He's a racist, he's a misogynist, he's a nationalist, he's all this stuff. Right there, that man is the poster child for it all. It's a fantastic video. I had it on Facebook, and inadvertently one day, I don't know what the hell happened, we deleted it on mistake, and it had 47 million views. But you can find it. It is, you go to my YouTube channel and just look at it. Black man, racist, Trump, and you'll find it. It is insane. Now, that said, we move on. So it's a wow. We move on to the story. And I'm almost finished with my walk here. And I apologize for my lack of humor today. I told you yesterday, I think I'm coming down with something. I can always tell when I'm coming down with something. Hey, how are you? Come on. Should I ask them if they voted for Trump? Nice elderly couple. Okay. So yesterday, I started singing Billy Joel songs to Mary. Remember that? She's always a woman to me. Well, Mary, after I hung up, she said, have you ever told the Billy Joel story? I said, no. She goes, you should tell him that. I said, okay, fine, I'll tell him that story. So, Billy Joel, actually, you know Billy Joel, right? Piano Man? Sing us the song, you're the piano man. Sing us the song tonight. Because we're all in the mood for a melody. And you've got us feeling alright. Na 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 na. Say it with me. Na 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 no no. Yes. So I grew up down the block from Billy Joel in Hicksville. What a name. And he was older than me, obviously. He's in his, I think he's almost 70 now. But he was literally, 7, 8 houses away. So everybody in Hicksville, very, very, very proud of Billy Joel. And to me, aside from his politics, he's like one of my heroes. I have been to more Billy Joel concerts, and there are few events in the world that every person needs to be to. The singing of Piano Man to a stadium filled with 50,000 people, there's nothing like it. It's better than sex. What'd you say, DML? Yeah, it's better than sex. No joke, DML, you and Mary may want to practice on that stuff. No, I'm telling you, singing a Billy Joel song with 50,000 people, sing us the song, you're the piano man, and he let you. Sing us the song tonight, 'cause we're all in the mood for a melody. You do it. And you got us feeling all right. Yeah. So anyhow, Billy Joel lives out where I live now. So this guy says to me one day, doing a film out here, and the guy says to me, how would you like to meet Billy Joel? Really? Billy Joel? He's like, yeah. I said, absolutely. He says, yeah. He's like, Billy said we go to his house. I'm like, go to his house? We're gonna go to Billy Joel's house? I'm like a kid in a candy store, and I don't get like this over anybody. I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. I want to go to Billy Joel's house. Totally. So, because I'm such a cool friend, I call my buddy Jimbo. Jimbo and I have been best friends since ever, and he's a huge Billy Joel fan. I'm like, Jimbo, I'm going to Billy Joel's house, man. I'm going to Billy Joel's house for the film. He's like, you got to be kidding me. I said, no. And I mean, I got to tell you about Billy Joel songs that he sings that I know about because it's my neighborhood. Like Virginia, don't come out too late, but mama Catholic girl, that's too late. Sooner or later it comes down to fate. You might as well be the one. I'll tell you that story about one day, who Virginia actually is. So I said, Jimbo, here's what we're going to do. I cannot go to Billy Joel's house and not have you, my very best friend in the whole world, like a brother to me, godfather to one of my kids. I'm godfather to one of his kids. I cannot have you not come. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pretend like you're part of my camera crew. I'm gonna give you a camera. You gotta learn how to do it. Now, Jimbo can't find his buttocks with both hands when it comes to a lot of different things. Smart guy, probably the most handsome guy I've ever seen in my life. Looks like a Ken doll. Fantastic guy. School teacher. He's like, what? I gotta do the camera thing? What, at Billy Joel's house? I said, yeah, you gotta do it at Billy Joel's house. He's petrified. Petrified. I'm trying to show him how to use the camera. I got a camera. We got one of the guy with the camera with us, whatever. The publicist is coming in. Everybody's coming in. Everybody's coming in for this big Billy Joel thing. And I got my best friend as being my camera guy. And it's like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? So the guy set the whole thing on me. Dan's like, you got it, Dennis. You got to make sure you bring in a good crew. You got to bring in a good crew. You know, come on. Billy Joel's a cool guy, but don't make me look bad. And I'm first-time filmmaker. I'm like, oh, no, don't worry, man. I'm bringing in my best. I got to bring my best friend in. You know I got to bring my best friend in. So anyhow, I said, Dan, this guy's Dan. I said, Dan, Billy Joel, as far as I know, is a really cool guy. And it's summertime here, man. It's hot. It's like 95 degrees. I don't want to get all dressed up and sweaty. That's going to be a turnoff. He's like, no, Billy's cool. Wear your usual stuff. So my usual stuff during the summer, even when we're at work here in the office, I wear flip-flops, shorts, and a tank. Tank top, little skinny thing there. And that's what we do. So I was like, all right, I'll lose the tank, but I'll wear the shirt. I told Jimbo, same thing. Jimbo, Jimbo's like made of steel. I'm like, Jimbo, t-shirt, shorts, flip-flops. So he's all right. So we go into Billy Joel's, we're going into his house, and we are so petrified. And we're walking around, whatever, and he's got the piano in there, and he's got all of his motorcycles. He's got a whole room, like your dining room table is filled with real motorcycles. He's got like 12 motorcycles in this room, and it's all tiled. It's beautiful. He's got a desk in there. This place is just awesome. So we're walking around, we got all of our stuff, and we're working with this publicist on where we're going to do the interview. And Billy Joel walks in. So he walks in, and I'm there, and I got my camera like this, and everybody's like, hey, Billy Joel, here he comes in, he's like, hey guys, he's totally a cool guy anyway. Hey guys, what's going on? Which one of you guys is Jimbo? Which one of you guys is Dennis? So my buddy Jim's like, yeah, I'm Jimbo. He's like, all right, fine. He's like, who's Dennis? I'm like, I am. He says, all right. So I go over to shake his hand, and as I step in his dog do with my flip-flops on, and the dog do is all over my foot, and I can't move. And I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, Jimbo's looking, the publicist is looking, we're all looking, and I got the dog do on my foot, all over it. And we just look, and Billy Joel, out of everybody, is the most devastated. He's like, hold on. So I sit there, I don't know what to do. None of us know what to do. And then Dan looks at me. He's like, you had to step in the shit. What about the fact that Billy Joel's dog shit on the floor? So we're going back and forth. My buddy Jimbo can't stop crying. He's laughing so hard. Billy Joel comes back in. We have no idea what he's going to do. And I can't move. Billy Joel comes back in with paper towels, gets down on a hand and knee, and starts washing my feet like I'm a king. Washing my feet, washes the floor, the whole thing. Takes the coolest guy in the world. It's a shame. This guy voted for Obama. Not a once, but a twice. Shame that he did that. So anyway, my buddy Jimbo actually pulled it off with the camera. It's pretty good. One of these days, I'm going to play that clip for you. Right when I get the Alec Baldwin one, I'll have the time to get the other one with Billy Joel. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Went into Billy Joel's house, interviewed him, asked him about some of his songs. It was a cool time. Very cool time. Yeah. So anyway, that's the story. DML, what does that have to do with politics? I don't know. Just thought Mary thought you'd like it. I liked it. I thought it was a good story. Pretty good story. How many people could say they actually stepped in Billy Joel's dog, you know what. So, never know. All right. Another story to follow up to that one is that about 2 weeks later, we're at a festival, hanging out, me, Mary. Mary's like a gazillion pounds pregnant. We've got my other kids there, whatever. And there's a concert, and he's got an Alexa. And some guy was totally out of control. And Billy had no security there because it was just like a nice little festival. Guy was drunk or whatever it may be, and the girls that were sitting there with him, with Billy, and he's like, oh, you know, Billy's on a cane because his back's hurting him, and he's all upset. I went up to him, I said, Billy, you remember me? He's like, yeah, I remember you. He couldn't remember my name, but he remembered I stepped in his dog shit. He says, I said, what's the problem, man? He's, this guy over there, he's being rowdy and stuff. DML took care of that one. All right, till tomorrow. God bless you. God bless our troops. God bless the United States of America. God bless Billy Joe. God bless the dog, a little pug. What kind of dog was he, DML? Little pug. Pooped right on the floor. Yeah, I can't remember the dog's name. God bless the new official cheat sheet. Tomorrow will be a little more funny. Tomorrow we'll bring in some more other creative stories. But, you know, it's kind of hard to laugh when you're talking about ISIS. So, anyhow, until tomorrow.